Hey friends, and more specifically my Georgia friends out there, you guys have a huge senatorial race coming up in a couple of weeks. This is one of those races that I've never seen anything like this in my life. We have so much at stake out there that will trickle down and affect the Second Amendment in some kind of way. Obviously, the direct effect is that you have two Democratic candidates who have openly stated their disdain for the Second Amendment and those of us who support it. And then, of course, there are indirect ways that could have a much greater impact on the Second Amendment, like the stacking of the Supreme Court. We know that if Joe Biden gets in there and these two wackos in Georgia are elected in the Senate to where everything will pass the Democrat-controlled House and the Democrat-controlled Senate, and, of course, go on to the White House where Joe Biden, in a drunken stupor, will just sign everything into law. If for some reason it's challenged and they stack the Supreme Court, then they will win there as well, because they will obviously stack that with anti-gun people, because that's the number one thing in the Supreme Court that have bothered the far left wackos for so long, is the fact that we have the Second Amendment. They will do everything they can to disrupt the Second Amendment. I realize that the Second Amendment has its own words and that even the Supreme Court can't change the Second Amendment. It needs to be amended, ratified by the states. I get all that. But they can certainly make rulings and reverse some rulings out there that will make it much harder on all of us. So I worry about a whole list of things. Now, I want to talk about the candidates that you guys are going to be facing. Let's first talk about, let's pick Warnock first. Because Warnock is one of those kinds of guys that, look, I've worked in the past in management with people who were preachers. And this is not a knock against all preachers generally. But when you have a preacher who gets up there and runs his mouth for popularity, it's essentially a popularity contest, but won't go on record for anything, don't trust them. Some of the most dishonest people I've ever worked shoulder to shoulder with were preachers in their own churches. They lied, they stole, they were corrupt, very corrupt, took money for things. So be very careful with what you got. You have a preacher running for a Senate seat as a politician. Those two things together are a recipe for disaster, and I am certainly passing judgment on this guy. His website, he won't go on record as specifically as Ossoff has, but this is what his website has to say. He lists the things that he will do in the Senate if he's elected, and one of them is reduce senseless gun violence. Now, we're talking about a guy here that wants to reform prisons, let a lot of the prisoners out. He wants to defund police. He words it a little bit differently because he certainly doesn't want to make it sound like he wants to defund police, but that's what this statement is. Just like they've gotten real sugary with the words that they use in gun control, they call it gun safety when it's actually called gun control and gun bans. Now they've gotten clever with their defund the police wording by using the words responsibly fund police departments while increasing accountability. We got to be careful when we have a guy like this who is basically towing the company line on the Democrat side. If he's going to be doing everything that he's told to do, you know what he's going to be told to do? He's going to be told to vote on every single anti-Second Amendment law out there. Every single one of them. Where does he stand on AR-15s and semi-automatic rifles? This guy is already being paid thousands of dollars from anti-gun groups to get him to support. You talk about lining his pockets with money, to get him to support banning, quote, assault weapons and banning essentially semi-automatic rifles. You think you're going to have the right under Warnock to defend yourself with a firearm in the state of Georgia? Probably not even the whole United States if this guy has his way. He's very much against stand your ground laws. Now, stand your ground laws protect you and I when we shoot somebody who's breaking into our homes. This guy is on record against stand your ground laws. This guy does not support you protecting yourself. Now let's move on to his boy. First of all, Georgians, this guy Ossoff is throwing all of you guys who support the Second Amendment under the bus. He says he's speaking for you, that you want gun control. This is what he says on his website. A clear majority of Georgians support reforms to reduce injuries and deaths from gun violence while protecting the Second Amendment right to bear arms. They're clever about their wording. The Democrats always have been, especially namely the anti-gun movement. They've always been so clever at how they word things. By stating that you guys support reforms to reduce injuries and deaths from gun violence, it makes you go, well, yeah, I support stopping injuries from gun violence. but it's how they word everything. If they were to come at you and say, do you support any form of gun control in the state of Georgia, they know that they would get a resounding no. It's the clever wording that they have, these ridiculous polls that they put out there. When they ask you these loaded questions like that, then they come in, they reword the question, and they say, yeah, everybody supports it. His next statement by saying that he supports the Second Amendment is equivalent to me trying to tell you, hey guys, I'm really a smart guy, and then I go on to say something stupid. When you have to preface your statement with, look, I really do support the Second Amendment, if there's a but that comes after that, if you are now saying something behind that does not support the Second Amendment, you clearly don't support the Second Amendment. And here they go again with their wording. The shocking level of gun violence in America today makes plain the need for gun safety reforms, which will not preclude any responsible and qualified American from owning firearms for home defense, hunting, marksmanship, collection, or recreation. Which, by the way, none of those things is why the Second Amendment was written in the first place. Either the guy is stupid or he's ignorant to the actual intent of the United States Constitution. Now, when the guy says that none of this will preclude you from owning firearms, he's kind of right, because none of this is going to preclude you from owning all firearms. It will, however, preclude you from owning some firearms, because this guy, a couple of paragraphs down below, fully supports you not being allowed to own the most popular firearm in the entire United States of America, which is the AR-15, which they incorrectly label as an assault weapon. This guy is for and staunchly for an assault weapons ban. So clearly, he does not intend to stop you from buying all guns, just some guns, the most popular guns in America. But he also mentions red flag gun laws. Red flag gun laws to protect family members and domestic partners concerned about the mental health of their loved ones. They're not talking about domestic partners or mental health of their loved ones. If you go look at some of my old videos, and guys, I will try to put the link up here where you can go look at it yourself later on, because it's some lengthy stuff. I don't want to go all into it. But real quick, those of you that don't know what a red flag gun law is, it's when my neighbor gets ticked off at me because my garbage can fell over in his yard, and he knows that I have a few guns in my house, and he calls the federal government, the FBI, the local sheriff's department, whomever, and tells them Paul threatened to kill me. I'm asleep at night downstairs at 2 a.m. in the morning. The local law enforcement come, they kick my door in, they take all my guns, and they say, Paul, you had a credible threat that you were a danger to yourself or others. They take every single gun of mine. Then it's up to me to prove, one, that I never said that, two, that I'm not a dangerous person. Then I might get my guns back if I can prove to them that I never said those things and that I'm not a danger to myself or others. That's what a red flag gun law is. It is one of the most overreaching, anti-constitutional things I've ever seen in my life. It's one of those things that even to bring this up is un-American. Even to talk about it is un-American. I'm not going to go into detail about Ossoff's claim of high-powered rifles and all that. Sometimes when you get to a point where there's paragraph after paragraph of misinformation, you kind of got to chalk this guy up to being stupid. They have not earned the right to even be addressed. And we're going to move on to these statements. Most gun owners are responsible, qualified, and own weapons in good faith. However, the only objective of the firearms industry lobbyists is to drive up gun sales and enrich shareholders. By demonizing the gun lobby, they're demonizing all of us, every single one of us. Who does the gun lobby represent? The gun lobby represents every single one of us. Because how does the gun lobby get funded? The gun lobby is I know they're not doing our work for us anymore, but the NRA, Gun Owners of America, Firearms Policy Institute, National Association for Gun Rights, all these gun rights groups out there, they operate one way, through our funding. There's nobody out there, a big benefactor, that's writing these massive $1 million checks that float and fund these organizations. The gun lobby is us. We fund the gun lobby. We fund the gun lobby to be our voice to these anti-gun, anti-constitutional people like Ossoff and like Warnock. So when they say that we are the good guys, but the gun lobby is the bad guys, all they're doing is trying to turn us against the gun lobby who we're paying money to. How stupid do they think we are? Are we really that stupid? Honestly, guys, are we that stupid? Are we going to let the anti-gun movement out there turn us against the people that we are giving our money to? Whenever they attack the gun lobby, they are attacking us. Georgia, you got some decisions you got to make in a couple of weeks. I literally pray that you guys will come out in full force. Don't listen to polls. Don't listen to your brother-in-law or somebody out there like that says, Georgia ain't ever going to go anti-Second Amendment. Don't listen to those people. Go vote. If your early voting is already over with, then go out and vote. Because I can promise you one thing, all the money that's being funneled in from states like California, the millions of dollars that are being funneled in from all these other states that are trying to trick and turn your state's election, they're going out and vote. They're mobilizing people. They are going to bring busloads of people. They are going to outvote you if you let them. You guys in Georgia have got to do the work. We're doing everything we can to mobilize and get people aware. You guys are the ones that got to go out and vote. You got to tell your brother-in-law, your cousin, all these people out there who talk a big game but never step outside their own home and their own comfort zone to cast a vote for something. This is the time to cast it.